Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and elders of GMS who rule well, peace, salutations to the elect. My name is Ainam. The title of the video is World Cup Hotels 80% Empty. Right? And ultimately, that's because, Esau Edom and his kingdom is at an end. Right? Everyone feels it. Everyone knows that something is off, something is wrong. This is Ezekiel 21 and 8. It says again, the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth a contempt the rod of my son as every tree? Here this in the Now T says, it is sharpened for terrible slaughter and polished to flash like lightning. Now will you laugh? Those far stronger than you have fallen beneath its power. Right? I want to get this. Let me get this verse 11 here. It says, and have given it to be furbished that it may be handled. That it may be handled. This sword is sharpened and in the service to give it into the hand of the slayer. Right, and ultimately, this was talking about us as a people, right? But now that cup is going to be on the wicked, right? The Edomites and the heathen. So I want to grab this word mirth. Mirth says basically, right, rejoice, to display joy, right? Be glad, right? Make mirth, rejoice. So all hell is breaking loose here in Babylon, right? They're calling it a polycrisis, which it is. You have the gas prices, right? The food shortages and the prices of the food, the fuel shortages, like the flights being canceled, pestilence walking around, war, right? Talks about drafts, right? And the war not ending, UFOs, all these different things. And we know and understand that, a sword. So let me grab this Lamentations 4 real quick, because like I said, that was for us as a people, but now that cup has, been put on these heathen. Lamentations 4 and 21, it says, rejoice and be glad, O Lord of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O Lord of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O Lord of Edom. He will discover thy sins. So now it's Edom's time, to get that judgment. All right, so right here, we get to the top, it says prophecy against Babylon. So it's just talking about America. All right. It says, Jeremiah 50 and 34, it says, their Redeemer. I'll start at 33. It says, thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, so all 12 tribes, were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet inhabitants of Babylon. It said, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon their princes, and upon their wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Right, Babylon is right here. America has a lot of, different idols. See if I can grab this precept that came to mind. Bear with me. Because the Most High said, what is it? Be no more work for Babylon. Because this lady, she's going to go into the fact there's no more jobs also because of these hotels and this event. It's bringing in as much people as they thought it would, right? All right. All right, perfect. This is not what I wanted. All right, here we go. Isaiah 19. Slide here. All right, message to Egypt. All right, this is America. All right, again. Isaiah 19. And I just really wanted to get this right here. It says Isaiah 19 and 14, the Lord Yahweh Bashim shall enable a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. NLT says, there is nothing Egypt can do. All are helpless, the head and the tail, the noble palm branch and the lowly reed. AMP says there will be no work for Egypt, which head or tail, high, palm branch, or low gold rush may do. All right. So no work for Egypt and no help for Egypt. No healing, of thy wound, as Nahum 3 goes into. All right. So let me grab this video. House of L.
The United States is hosting 78 of the 104 matches at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, 3/4 of the entire tournament, the biggest sporting event on the planet. And according to the American Hotel and Lodging Association, nearly 80% of hotels across all 11 US host cities are reporting bookings below forecast, with several using the word non-event to describe what the World Cup has meant for their business so far. In Kansas City, 85 to 90% of hotels report demand trailing even a normal summer without major events. In New York, hotel occupancy is pacing at 18% versus 26% at the same time last year. The World Cup is not just underperforming in New York, it is making hotels less busy than they would have been without it. One of the biggest sporting events in history is currently functioning as a net negative for hotel bookings in the most visited city on earth. I'm Elle. I have a PhD in computer science and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics, and the pattern here is genuinely extraordinary. A FIFA and Open Economics study projected that the US portion of the World Cup would generate $30.5 billion in economic output and create 185,000 jobs. Tourism Economics estimated 1.24 million international visitors, with foreign fans spending on average $5,000 per trip and roughly 1.7 times more than domestic travelers. The entire economic model for this tournament was built on international visitors showing up. Well, they're not showing up, and the reasons are not exactly mysterious. 65 to 70.
Right. Grab Jeremiah 50. Says I can get this right here. All right, this is Jeremiah 15:8. It says in the NLT, but now flee from Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians like male goats at the head of the flock, leave my people home again. And just people fleeing, right? But I wanted to grab Jeremiah 51:9. I'll start at 7. This is Jeremiah 51:7 says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, right? That made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? Just the different policies that Babylon has put out, right? That's causing nations to get upset and angry, right? Even these policies that Babylon is not even no longer listening to, right? Going against their own word. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. It says, we will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Right. So again, people know this place is third. People saying this place could become a third world country. Remember, you got the ICE agents out there just picking up each and anybody, so no one is safe. I know recently they arrested like the granddaughter of one of those Iranian officials, So people don't want to come here. They want to go, they just want to stay where they at, basically. All right.
70% of hoteliers surveyed by the AHLA identified visa delays, travel restrictions, and geopolitical concerns as the primary factors suppressing international demand. The Trump administration's travel bans currently affect 39 countries. Of the 48 nations that qualified for the World Cup, fans from 4 of them, Iran, Haiti, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, are banned from entering the United States to watch their own teams play. Iran and Haiti play all 3 of their group stage matches on U.S. soil. There is no escape to Canada or Mexico for those fixtures. Their fans are basically locked out entirely. The United States is hosting a World Cup and has banned supporters of 4 participating teams from entering the country, which is an interesting interpretation of the word hosting. Senegal fans can at least catch one group match in Toronto. Ivory Coast fans get one in Toronto too, but for Iran and Haiti, every single game is behind the travel ban wall. All visa applicants must now disclose 5 years of social media history, phone numbers, and email addresses as part of the application process. A January 2026 decree halted immigrant visa processing for 75 countries. Tourism Economics reported that international tourism to the U.S. fell by 6.5% in 2025, which is a decline the industry has been calling the Trump slump. The World Cup was supposed to reverse that, but instead the same policies driving tourists away from the U.S. in general are now driving World Cup fans away specifically. And the chilling effect extends beyond banned nations. Travelers from key football markets, including Canada, England, Germany, and Brazil, are scaling back travel plans due to high airfares and what the Axios survey described as broader economic uncertainty about visiting the United States at all. If you've been following this channel,
right, wanted to grab this. Isaiah. You get Isaiah 29 and 20. It says, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. This is exactly what's happening to the devil, right? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of the fall of it. It says that make a man an offender for one word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of not, right? And this is why they want to see 5 years of what you've been posting on your social media, right? Basically, we already know what they want to know. Do you think Israel has to, can they exist? Do you like Israel? Do you think they're committing genocide? If you say anything about these devils that run the world, then they don't like you, right? But it's the truth, right? These devils are wicked. NLT says those who convict the innocent by their false testimony will disappear. A similar fate waits those who use trickery to pervert justice and who tell lies to destroy the innocent. All right. So they make you an offender for a word, right? In America, you have the freedom of speech, but now they're trying to make it so you say something they don't like, they can do something about it. This is Isaiah 24:1. It says, "Judgment on the earth. Behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashem shall maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. It shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with his mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him, so with everybody. It says the land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, for the Lord Yahweh Bashmanash has spoken this word." Right? It's already started. As you can see, people don't want to visit America, and people are being blocked from even coming to America. Right? Look at what is it? What is that? That place over there, Dubai. Shoot, people are not going to be going over there anymore because the oil has ceased, the money has stopped over there. Right? Things looking real bad. Says the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languishes and fadeth away. All the people of the earth do languish. Right? So that's what's happening. Right? That's the type of state people are in. NOT says the earth warms and dries up, the land wastes away and withers, even the greatest people on earth waste away. Right? You had a lot of great sports players, passing out for the seabed event, and even after, from the juice jabs and all of that. Isaiah 24:5 said the earth also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Yeah, so the world is not being operated in order, right? And that's why things are falling off. Animals are beaching themselves. Women are free to gather abroad and just spread diseases, to everybody. The men can, be the LGBTQ and all of that. It's all bad, right? Children grow up as gremlins, therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that therein are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burnt, and few men left. The new wine warneth, the vine languishes, right? All the merry-hearted do sigh. See, that's where we're at. No one is thinking about holidays, right? No one's thinking about the World Cup. No one cares the fact that Donald Trump is building different statues of himself and hosting fighting matches on a White House lawn. All right, because we're living in that time period. Let me grab this in English. It says to be weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted, to grow feeble, be sick. Right, so that's the type of situation that the people are finding themselves in. Even with everything that's going around the world, the different wars, people just dying, civilians just dying, and then that trickles down. Having loved ones lost in your family, for no reason and things like that. It says, Isaiah 24:8, the mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. Right? They shall not drink wine with a song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, and no man may come in. Right, and that's what we're entering in, slowly but surely, right? That time is here. It's only getting worse, day by day. I'm still waiting to see what happens with the World Cup, right? Or even what happens if Trump's going to be allowed to go visit China. All right. Says there's Isaiah 24:11. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. And the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. All right. So pretty much that's just the state of the earth right now. Let me get this Ecclesiastes 3. Says a time for everything. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, right? This was written by Solomon. It says, to everything there's a season, which is Yahweh Shai, right? So there's a lot of wisdom here. To everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Right? We're living that time now where it's going to be a lot of mourning, right? Gnashing, weeping of teeth, written therein with lamentations, mournings, and woe. Right? That's the time period we're living in. Okay. So, it says a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get they're going to tell you 6 feet with this new one, right? A time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to reign and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love. Hey, that time is got to come to right now. We're speaking now, letting you know and warning you what's about to come, but the time to keep silence is fastly approaching. Also, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. All right, what profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he labored, has seen the travail Yahweh Bashmiel shall have given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. So Solomon's seen a lot, and there's a time and place for everything, right? And then we're in the time now, weeping. It says, seeing these things must be dissolved. Let me grab that. Right? It says 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord Yahweh shall come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation, and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of Yahweh Bashman Shai, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Right, so we know what time we're living in and what's about to come. All right, so we're not, which we're joyful because for us this is a good thing. This is what we look for, right? But for y'all not joyful. What is it? Isaiah 65. This is Isaiah 65:12. It says, therefore will I number you to the sword, talking about who? The 2/3. And ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashman Shai, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. So we're entering that time now where we're getting more and more happy because we see everything we've been looking for coming in the past, and you're getting more and more afraid and scared because you see that the end is coming, and you don't know what it means.
Channel's playlist on how the US is systematically undermining its own economic position. This is the tourism chapter, same pattern, different sector this time. And then there is the pricing, of course. During the original bid in 2018, the US promised ticket prices as low as $21 for early round matches. The cheapest ticket for this year's final is now $2,030. The most expensive is $6,730. For context, the cheapest final ticket at Qatar 2022 was $206. This tournament's cheapest is roughly 10 times that. According to analysis by The Guardian, the cheapest seats have increased approximately 6 times compared to the average across the 5 World Cups from 2006 to 2022. 4 tickets for the final appeared on FIFA's own resale platform at just under $2.3 million each. FIFA takes 15% from the buyer and 15% from the seller on every resale transaction, a 30% cut of every secondary market sale. FIFA President Gianni Infantino's response to the $2.3 million listings was to promise he would personally deliver a hot dog to anyone who actually paid that price. Football supporters Europe called the pricing a monumental betrayal. If you're trying to make sense of how institutions present one narrative while
All right, so you can check her video out. We'll anyway apply from the Leslie Shalom to the home select, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.